Uvalde's victims' families have joined up with an attorney and have filed a lawsuit against Daniel Defense, Activision, and Meta, saying that the gun maker, Call of Duty, and Instagram all conspired together to market AR-15s to underage boys. The lawsuit calls the companies a three-headed monster that conditions and trains teens to become mass shooters. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is brought to you by Blackout Coffee Company. They are a family-owned coffee roaster based in sunny Florida, not to be confused with Black Rifle, as I have to remind folks sometimes. All of their coffee is roasted fresh to order. They work directly with channels like mine and some of your favorite gun rights groups, and also have a big selection of teas and hot chocolates if that's more your jam. So to check them out and help support the channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/libertydoll. This pair of lawsuits is another in the rank and file response now of trying to sue gun makers for what other people do with their products, but attempting to also sue a video game company is new. Even the New York Times points out in its write-up that the lawsuits are far-reaching, which says a lot. One was filed in California and the other in Texas, claiming that because the shooter played Call of Duty and made some Instagram posts, the companies groomed him to go and commit the shooting. The lawsuits argue that if it weren't for Call of Duty and Instagram, Daniel Defense wouldn't have been able to market their guns to the otherwise socially isolated teenager. Okay, so what is the actual meat and potatoes content of this lawsuit? First of all, it mentions the fact that during the Sandy Hook lawsuit, it came out that Remington had licensing agreements with Activision, which is a given anytime one person wants to use the products or IP of another person or company for commercial use. That's just how it works. But the lawsuits argue that such agreements are proof that Activision is in cahoots with gun makers to target children. The suit argues that the game allows players to try out realistic simulations of recognizable real-world firearms, making Activision the most prolific and effective marketer of assault weapons in the United States. They are designed to perfectly imitate their real-life counterparts in look, feel, recoil, and accuracy, the suit argues. Personally, I am not convinced that you can actually get the real-world feel of the recoil of a rifle or pistol from a PlayStation controller, or from PC gaming, or from the mobile phone game that this kid was also playing, but okay. As for Instagram's role, the lawsuit says Instagram allowed Daniel Defense to promote its products through its social media presence even though the platform formally bans firearms advertising, and points to a Daniel Defense Instagram post, "Refuse to be a victim," one of the company's Instagram posts read, with an image of a person taking an assault-style rifle out of the trunk of a car. Now, as someone who runs a business and has at one point in time foolishly tried to advertise on Facebook before it was Meta, buying an ad to promote your content or promote your product, which at the time was my Facebook page, is very different than just having a page or account and posting pictures to it. It's not the same, and so here's another point where I don't think their argument is going to stand. It also says that Meta allows gun makers to bypass the ad rules and market to kids using social media influencers. Again, Facebook cannot control what someone is saying or advertising within their own content. Now, I don't advertise on Facebook anymore, so I don't know what their policies are around this, but I would imagine that it's similar to YouTube. And with YouTube, again, they cannot stop influencers like myself. I hate using that word, but influencer, we'll call it. They can't stop me from telling you about some company that I like or think is cool. But if content is marketed specifically to kids by YouTube policy, you can't have ads on it. And I mean, what 13-year-old is gonna roll up to an FFL with money and pass a background check and actually have that FFL say, "Yes, sir, you look like an excellent person to own a rifle"? Like, that argument is just stupid. But anyways, together they say the companies hooked the shooter, got him addicted to violence, radicalized him, and then convinced him that violence would solve his problems, which frankly is more of a mental health issue than an issue of marketing. They say that within a week of starting to play Call of Duty, content on his phone showed he was obsessed with guns and violence, and again, as someone who spent more than 10 years practicing as a licensed mental health therapist, if he had an obsession with guns and violence and thought it was appropriate to use violence to solve his problems, that started a long time before he started playing Call of Duty and did not just take a week to happen. But again, I digress. It is just further proof that this lawsuit is really far-fetched. So the California lawsuit is the one that focuses on the tech and media companies. The Texas lawsuit is the one that goes after Daniel Defense and Oasis Outback, the FFL, that transferred the gun. This lawsuit claims that Daniel Defense broke Texas law by offering to sell the shooter a gun before he was 18. For this claim, the suit points to an automated email he received reminding him that the rifle was still in his online shopping cart. And that automated email happened to be before his 18th birthday. So they equate an automated email that automatically goes out after something sits in your shopping cart for a certain period of time as them targeting an underage boy with their marketing. It's a reach. And the argument about violent video games is not a new one, but just like guns, millions of people play Call of Duty and any number of first-person shooter video games every year and don't go out and commit murder. So again, I don't see this lawsuit really going anywhere, but the companies involved will still have to pay out legal fees for as long as it hangs around. And it might hang around for at least a while. There is currently another lawsuit out there against YouTube for gun content on the platform, and the company has tried to get it dismissed, and a judge said no, and is letting it move forward. And, I have to say, I feel for the families. I really do. I cannot even fathom what it would be like to lose your child, let alone in that kind of situation, let alone on video, where you can see the police not responding while everything is happening. They're just standing there. But suing a video game company is not going to change that. Suing Instagram is not going to change that. And I understand wanting to blame someone for what happened, but these are not the parties to blame. The parties to blame are the guy that did it and all the cops that stood around and listened to it. At least that's my take. The lawsuits were filed by Josh Koskoff. He was the lawyer who was behind the lawsuit that ended with a $73 million settlement with Remington. He said, Daniel Defense is a predator but can't get to the prey without the help of these other third parties. But what's interesting about that statement, first and foremost, is that these lawyers that file suit against gun makers are also predators. Why? They are predators because they initially waive their legal fees, and then when they lose, they come after the families to repay millions of dollars in legal fees. This has happened before. And this lawsuit is so far-fetched that it could very easily be happening again, and now these families are being preyed upon and are going to be made victims again, just in a different way. Now, sure, they are making the decision to go after these companies kind of frivolously, but these lawyers, I feel like, are also taking advantage of their grief, and that's pretty scummy. Personally, this lawsuit is, again, so far-fetched that I don't think it's likely to go anywhere beyond a settlement, and the settlement is probably just going to be to make it go away. It's not any sort of admission of guilt or proof of anything. Now, why do I say that? There's a few reasons. So first of all, this lawsuit ignores Section 230, which insulates platforms like Instagram from lawsuits over their users' content. And of course, we all know that there are the protection laws for gun manufacturers. There's really not much here for this lawyer to go on. Now, these same families recently settled with the city of Uvalde for $2 million without a formal lawsuit, but also announced lawsuits against 92 Texas Department of Public Safety officers, as well as the school's former principal. That lawsuit at least makes some sense. They also plan to sue the federal government, noting that over 150 feds were also at the school busy doing nothing. Again, that lawsuit makes more sense. The families say that the only reason that they settled with the city was because any further legal action would have bankrupted the city, and they don't want that to happen. Okay, fine. Part of the settlement with the city includes promises for better police training and working with the DOJ to implement new standards across the department. And frankly, out of all of this stuff in this video, that is the only piece of any of this that makes sense and I think will actually do any good going forward. So folks, this is one to watch because it's just so out there, and in the event that judges allow it to go forward and things come out, it could set a very ugly precedent. But bottom line, I am not convinced. Hopefully, judges and a jury will also see through this and not be convinced. In the meantime, you guys know the drill for all of the algorithm things. Please like, share, and subscribe if you are new here. Ring that notification bell and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this, though I'm pretty sure I can predict what most of the comments will say here. And as always, thank you guys for tuning in, and happy shooting.